We're alive.
Okay, thank you very much, Grant. I'm going to call this meeting of the East Gloucester Veterans Memorial School Building Committee to order. And the first order of business is the approval of the minutes. They were sent out under a separate cover, right? Did everybody have them? Okay, are there any corrections or omissions? Okay, seeing none, do we have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, who seconded that? Matt?
Done.
Don. Let's do this again. This is to make life simpler. Kathy, if you could move all the motions, and John, if you could second all of them,
Sure.
It makes it easier online for people to understand what's going on.
Jonathan, just for the record, should we do a quick roll call vote of who's actually in attendance for the record?
Yes, we should.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Jonathan Pope,
Yes, here.
Jason Rogers,
Here.
Richard Sapphire.
Sapphire. Yeah.
Sapphire. Yeah. Nope. Greg Catamatori, Kathy Clancy,
Yes.
Donna Compton,
Here.
John Dunn,
Here.
Gary Frisch,
Yes.
Matt Fusco.
You have to say something, Matt, not just wave.
I'm here.
Okay, yes. Okay, Grant Harris,
Yes.
Joe Lucido,
Yes.
Ryan Marks, and Amy Pasquarello.
And
okay, and Mayor
Rich
Sophia
has shown up since you started.
Oh, who did?
Rich.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we've taken a roll call, we've approved the minutes, and we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is an update on the schematic design schedule.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Second. Did we vote on the minutes?
No.
No, we didn't. No, I got interrupted. I got waylaid.
Sorry about that.
So
Kathy?
we've had a motion and a second to accept the minutes. Do we need a roll call vote on the minutes?
Okay. Jonathan Pope,
Yes.
Jason Rogers,
Yes.
Richard Sapphire,
Yes.
Greg Catamatori is not present. Kathy Clancy,
Yes.
Donna Compton,
Yes.
John Dunn,
Yes.
Gary Frisch,
Yes.
Matt Fusco,
Yes.
Grant Harris,
Yes.
Joe Lucido,
Yes.
Ryan Marks. He's not there. Amy Pasquarello.
Yes.
Okay, and Mayor Romeo Taken is not present. So, okay. Okay, we're good. 1, 2,
Okay.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11-0.
Okay. Thank you very much, Tom. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the schematic design schedule update. And is that you, Tom, or is it
Yes.
Michelle?
It's me. You can, if I can just share my screen. If that's
Sure.
okay.
Just you go right down to the bottom where the little green share the screen goes.
Yeah, I'm moving it up a little bit. Share screen. Host disabled participant screen sharing.
1 second.
And okay, so you can see the overall schedule that we had submitted last week. We had not updated it since the last meeting package, so you can see we had a scheduled meeting on the 15th. That got moved to today. There's or the 16th, excuse me. And then the next target date is the delivery of the SD documents to the estimators a week from today. So the 29th. So that's where we're at this point. Don, I don't know, or Michelle, I don't know if you have any updates on continued working group meetings early part of May. We really haven't discussed that any further. But if you could maybe give an overview of what you think you're going to be needing in the next 2 or 3 weeks while the estimators are starting that effort, that would be good.
I don't think we had anything scheduled for working group. Once it goes out to the estimators, we're pretty much where we need to be on our schedule. So
Okay.
at that point, we'll just begin to focus our efforts on the putting together the binder and the information that we need from the
Okay.
city and from the OPM to put that together.
Okay, so for the near future, we will scratch the working group on the schedule. We'll update this and distribute it separately on the 4th of May and on the 19th of May. And then I guess we'll decide what we're doing relative to the next school building committee meeting target date. So we can talk about that, I guess, at the end of this meeting, I guess, as to the need for the next meeting and the timing on that, Jonathan.
Sure.
Okay, good. Okay.
So, Tom, this is Brad. I have a question. You know, when I'm looking at the schedule here, I don't see anything about the kind of the CM process that we're working on in parallel.
Right. We're going to update that. We could actually add that to the schedule as we move forward. We've really kind of keeping that parallel, but we were going to give an update on the next item on the schedule on that. But so we can do that. We can add that as we move forward.
I guess the reason I'm asking, I'm just looking at, you know, when we look at line 23 and we talk about reconciling the estimates there, I think, you know, it's beneficial overall, at least, you know, from our experience, to be able to get the CM involved in that process. And, you know, just thinking about how that works, you know, putting it all in the schedule, you know, how is that going to play out?
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
Because it's going to be pretty tight right there.
It's very tight right now. So.
And just something that is not on the schedule, but might be of interest to members is that there's an open period for testimony about the Article 97 disposition, and it closes tomorrow at 4 o'clock. So if anybody wants to do a written testimony about why why the legislature should vote for or against the Article 97, that closes tomorrow at 4 o'clock, because they're not going to have a public hearing because of the coronavirus. And I don't know, I've been trying to find out today when they would actually take that up with the legislature, but I'm assuming that it's if the testimony is closed, that it'd be a matter of time now when they take it up. So, any other questions about the schedule?
Jonathan,
Yes, sir.
just a question, particularly to the testimony tomorrow. Is there something that maybe we as the building committee should submit over and above, obviously, our votes in the past?
It certainly wouldn't hurt. The question would be, how do we authorize that? I wrote a letter today. I submitted a letter, if we had something ready to go from the committee, we could bring it forward and vote on it. But I'm not sure how we can do that by tomorrow afternoon.
Well, how about this then? If you could share your letter with the rest of us,
I can do that.
then we could just individually perhaps send something in saying we support the letter as written by Jonathan Pope.
That would be fine. That can be done. Like I say, at this point, it's got to have to be individuals. I will send that out. I also sent out this afternoon an update from Brittany Gomes, who we just got this afternoon about MSBA and what they're thinking is going forward with the current situation and how they're going to handle meetings. And the gist of it is that they're moving forward. So everybody got that. I sent it on to everybody. So you can read that at your leisure.
Okay.
Jonathan,
Yes.
this is Kathy. Could we agree on like, some key talking points that the committee could approve so that there is something that comes from the building committee?
I think that we could. I mean, it doesn't have to, the Article 97 is not terribly complicated. I would, let me bring up my letter, and it will have some, basically, the important thing is that the act is S2628, an act authorizing the city of Gloucester to use certain lands for municipal school purposes. And we have to reference that so people know what you're talking to. I have email addresses for the two chairs of the, I believe it's the Joint Committee on Municipalities and Regional Government. Which are the people that we've been told to send testimony to. I think basically just the last paragraph in my thing is please consider these facts as you make your decision. There has been a school in the site for 64 years. The city has committed to building a new softball field at the Green Street Playground that is in the same neighborhood 4/10 of a mile away. The city will dedicate the site of the East Gloucester Elementary School as green space. There is no net loss of open space. No watersheds, parklands, or conservation lands will be impacted. Gloucester will create a state-of-the-art learning environment within walking distance of the homes of our most challenged students. The new school will house public space available to the neighborhood, including a full-sized air-conditioned basketball court. That was my closing argument. Much of what I put before that was just all the history leading up to the process of how we got to picking this site.
So could we perhaps take a vote as a committee to support the details of the letter submitted by Jonathan Pope, dated
Dated today.
dated today, and just take a vote on that? And
Okay.
then submit that as a vote of the entire committee?
We could do that.
And
Okay.
I would think all it would need is, an introduction that, on behalf of the school, the building committee, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Basically, I can just compose a letter, a cover to this letter, and basically said the building committee voted and record the vote and on the date and to fully support this letter.
Or endorse the issues as raised in the letter. Something
Right.
along, yeah.
Sure.
Is everybody comfortable with that?
Okay, then we need a motion.
You tracking this, Chris Tremblay?
Yes, sorry, I was
Okay,
muted.
the motion should be to authorize Richard Sapphire, our vice chair, to compose a cover letter to accompany the letter and to endorse the letter written by Jonathan Pope to I'll go back to the Joint Committee on Municipalities and Regional Government.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Got that, Chris? Okay.
All
We need a
right.
roll call vote.
Yes.
Unless
Jonathan,
there's some discussion. Is there any discussion?
okay. Seeing none.
No, we-
Jonathan, ready for a
Yeah,
vote?
we need a roll call vote.
Okay. Jonathan Pope,
Yes.
Jason Rogers,
Yes.
Richard Sapphire,
Yes.
Kathy Clancy,
Yes.
Donna Compton,
Yes.
John Dunn,
Yes.
Gary Frisch,
Yes.
Matt Fusco,
Yes.
Grant Harris,
Yes.
Joe Lucido,
Yes.
and Amy Pasquarello.
Yes.
Okay, 11-0. All right. Next item on the agenda, CMR solicitation update. I'd like to give the committee an overview. The request for proposal was issued to the 3 firms that were pre-qualified on last Friday. We had a briefing session today, a Zoom briefing session with the 3 companies. Lasted about 20 minutes. Basically, kind of went over the project, and there are a few questions. We'll be issuing an addenda to update a few of the items there. So I think that is moving along. As Brad said, the schedule's pretty tight, so we're trying to keep that. They've got a 3-week time period to prepare their proposal and submit them on Friday, May 8th. And then the week of May 11th, probably on midweek, May 13th, 14th, something like that, we will have interviews of the firms and then hopefully be able to shortlist or shortly thereafter make a selection and then subsequent award. So to move forward with the initial schematic design phase, cost estimate, and schedule review. So anyway, so that's where we're at right now. The other item that occurred last week was the city council vote to reconsider the selection or the use of the construction management risk delivery system was not rescinded. So the original vote stands. John Dunn gave me the information to complete the IG's application now that that's done, and we'll get that submitted forthwith. So we'll keep moving on that area as well. So I don't know if there's any questions or thoughts at this point, but
Any questions?
okay. So next item is building design update presentation to the city council. We can pass that off to Michelle to give a quick update.
Well, what I really want to do is discuss any feedback. I know most of you had seen either the city council presentation or the school committee's presentation. And if you want, I have the presentation up that I could share with you again. But I wanted to know, generally speaking, what your feedback was, where you think we need to make any changes or adjustments at this point. Anybody want to open up?
Has everybody seen the presentation? It was presented to the city council. It was presented to the school committee, and it was presented not in exactly the same form, but to us at our last meeting. So everybody has seen it, right? Kathy, you had a question?
I just want to, as Michelle said, you want to open up. I think the school committee had some really good questions, very interested in a lot of details of the project. And I do think the much of the nature of comments had to do with, you know, kind of cost benefit of some of the decisions and designs. So as much as we, you know, I'm sure we all know that cost is extremely important to the community in terms of keeping it down. Obviously balanced with the longevity of the decisions made so that the building lasts and is as low maintenance as possible. So I just wanted to make sure people knew, to me, that was kind of the overwhelming message to keep in mind.
You know, anybody else have any comments? I was, the presentation, I thought went relatively well at the City Council. There was very little, I don't know, Michelle, what you thought, or Tom, but the school committee had a lot of questions, and I was a little concerned at the end is that it came off a little bit as picking it apart and a little bit negative. And I think it's important that we talk about the good things about this project. And I think that gets downplayed a little bit because everybody's concerned these days about making sure that we are being prudent with the city's money. And I think there's probably going to be discussions down the road about that even more as we see how this unfolds and how things work out at the state level. But for now, I think we need to push forward and try to get at least to the point where this is approved. So, thank you. Anything else on the on feedback from the design presentations? It's going to be a quick meeting.
I would just say the level of the education that we'll be able to give in that new building is tremendous, and it does it raises the ability to provide services to our needy students. And I feel like it really meets the educational profile, and I was very impressed with it. And I know we want cost savings, and I think we've made a lot of decisions along the way to make sure we did that. But the level of education that that building will be able to provide the children in Gloucester and give the teachers to work is tremendous. And I truly hope it goes forward.
Well, we just have to keep moving forward. And at this point, it's one foot in front of the other.
Well, I would say if there's any conversations that are ongoing during this time frame, the one thing I've learned over the last 25 years, it's never cheaper to build something than it is today, no matter what you're doing. So, you know, no matter what happens. And well, as I say, the economy may drop a little bit during that time, but whatever, I think it'll be in a good position, like you said.
Okay. All right, so we'll move on to the next item if there's no more about the presentation. And that is the life cycle cost analysis of the HVAC systems. Michelle, pardon me?
Can I share my screen?
Grant will have to allow that, I think.
And Grant,
It's allowed.
It's
Okay.
allowed. Okay.
And Grant, you'll also have to give Brad, unmute Brad too.
I'm unmuted.
Oh, okay. So I know we had some problems with this before, but can everybody see something that says energy use here?
You have to put it on the primary screen. It can't be on your secondary screen.
Oh, okay. Then I can't see all of you.
It's all right. We're not going anywhere.
Okay. So when we did the life cycle cost analysis, I believe the last time we presented to you, we talked about 3 options, and then we went back and looked at a 4th.
Michelle, we still don't have it.
Oh, sorry. me see.
Wait for it. There it is.
Okay, there we go. Back to, okay, so there we go. So so we had talked about the first three options originally, and then we went back and took a look at a fourth. Option one was the displacement air with partial cooling. This is very similar system to what you have at West Parish. Your air conditioning spaces like the administration are in this new building. You'd be air conditioning, administration, art, music, media, cafeteria, gymnasium, and the auditorium. And the classroom spaces would have the displacement air and function very similar to the way that they do over at West Parish. And then we took a look at option two, which uses the same system, but air conditions the entire building. So all your classrooms would have the air conditioning system. In option three, we went all electric to see what that would look like. So this changes the entire building over to full cooling with a heat pump technology. So every space in line with option two, so that every space would have air conditioning. And then what we wanted to do was to go back and say, well, maybe there's a way to save money if we were to look at a fourth option that is similar to option one, where you're only air conditioning a portion of the building with an all electric system, and then the rest of the building would have a different kind of heating and cooling system. And so on option four, the classrooms would have radiant heat, and that would be their primary source for heating within those spaces. We look at the energy use. Sorry, can everybody see the full screen? I'm sorry. There we go. So the life cycle cost analysis looks at energy use in several different ways. It looks at the use on the site, the actual source of the energy, greenhouse gas emissions, and then the energy overall. And we looked at all four options, and in this particular scenario, which was energy use by the end user, and that would be you. Option three, which is the full electric, came out on top for being the best option within this system.
In terms of efficiency.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, not dollars, efficiency. And then we looked at the cost of the fuel type. So in this case, the fuel type would either be gas or electric. And in this case, option three, again, was the best performer in the natural gas, total site energy use, the source energy, and the greenhouse gas emissions. But overall, when you take a look at the full range of options, option one became the best performance in that total energy cost.
Are those yearly costs, Michelle?
These are by year, yes.
Yeah.
Should have clarified that. So it combines, table two is a combination of all of those energy sources into one table.
And one thing to remember here is when we're looking at this, you know, we spent a bunch of time in-house and then speaking with the engineering firms and you know, the people who are doing the modeling to try and really understand it. And, you know, option three and option one are different in terms of what you're getting, right? Option three is kind of the full AC component, and option one is the partial AC, right, with displacement and ventilation and basically dehumidification. And option three and option four don't really work out to where, you know, we could do apples and oranges. Just the systems don't work as efficiently in terms of being able to, you know, kind of downsize the amount of AC being provided and having it equally efficient. It doesn't work that way based on how it gets put together. So when you look at the total energy cost number at the bottom there, 93,000 versus, you know, 99,000, in the giant scheme of things, those are very, very close. And honestly, it was kind of surprising to us that they were that close. And, you know, the difference here, though, for the 6,000 is that you're getting more for it. You're getting the full AC. And, right, what we're doing is we're creating a much more, you know, overall efficient system, as we saw in one of the previous slides. And it's a much more green technology. You know, it's from a kind of a sustainability perspective, it's a preferred system. And, you know, if we look today to where, you know, things are headed, you know, in terms of sustainability and, you know, where, you know, you can see like Brookline, for example, and Cambridge, for example, are now saying that, you know, all systems will need to be going to, you know, all electric systems. Really, this is, you know, kind of the option 3 model. So, you know, it's important for everybody to understand that while on a, you know, kind of annual cost basis, it's slightly more expensive, you're getting a system that's going to provide, you know, the full AC component, and, you know, it's a much greener system. Right. And then, you know, we can talk about, you know, kind of initial capital cost investment separately.
And that's what this slide here covers. So you have your initial installation costs, which under option 1 is less money, option 3 is more money, and then your annual operating costs under option 1 is less because you're not doing as much. You're not cooling the entire building. But you can see there that the difference between the two isn't all that great either. And so what you have at the end is your, what they call the TEC, the total equivalent annual costs. And you can see the difference between option 1 and option 3. We're sort of discounting option 4 as not even being relevant any longer. And if you were to go with the full AC route, you'd want to go with option 3 again because it's more green. So this is where we are with the life cycle cost analysis, and we should have a full conversation about, you know, what's the future? What's the future for Gloucester? What direction do you want to go in? And then what is the future for this particular building? Do you want it to be starting that wave towards all electric? Is the first cost important? This is actually looking at a life, the equipment service life of 20 years for both options.
Excuse me.
Go ahead, Rich.
Rich, yeah. So if you were to take on the total equivalent annual cost, if you were to multiply the 5.52 times the square footage to get a total, and the same for option 3 and subtract the 2, do we have a figure on that?
The 5.52 is cost per square foot.
I understand, but and how many square feet in the estimated for the building?
90,000.
All right, so if we multiply that times 90,000, we multiply the other one times 90,000, subtract the 2, that will give us the total cost differential between the 2, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And that is, well, that's the cost of your energy, not the total cost.
Right,
This, the tech includes the installation cost, which you pay once, not every year.
Right.
I'd like to, I have a couple questions. And the first one is, the all electric system, does that give us more points towards our LEED certification?
Yes.
Okay. And also, you mentioned something about space. I mean, because it's electric, is there less equipment involved or less space needed for equipment?
If you're headed towards, you know, can we reduce the size of the mechanical room, right, to be able to do that? I don't have a full answer for you on that, but I suspect it's probably not going to reduce it a lot, right? Because it's already pretty tight. And then the other thing, just to qualify my response, my yes response on the number of points, for the LEED certification, it will increase the number of points that we have, which, you know, overall makes things better. It won't increase, most likely, the level of reimbursement that we would get through, you know, the MSBA reimbursement program, because we will be able to achieve, you know, a LEED certification baseline requirement, which is what we need.
No, it may not put you into the next category. So we're tracking for silver. This might be a, you know, a higher level of silver, but I'm not sure if we would get to gold. That's a number that we'd have to look at.
Right, but it won't make a difference in terms of the cost back, but it does create a better overall LEED performance building. Correct.
So I have another question about the difference between the gas and the electric. Is the electric more agile in that you can heat some rooms and not others, or air condition some rooms and not others?
I don't think so. From a controls standpoint, I think that we're going to have, you know, the same level of control over the overall building, you know, depending upon how the building is run and managed. You know, you may see different efficiency factors on that, but it depends on, you know, how what operating mode you're actually going to be in.
I guess
the model was the model was put together to assume that option 1 and option 3 would achieve the same level of comfort in the rooms, and that's the building system, control system will monitor that. So you won't actually have controls within classrooms themselves. You'll have an entire building control.
Okay, so
is there a difference in the upkeep of the two? For example, if it went down, is one easier to maintain than the other? I'm speaking of, from somebody that its temperatures go down all the time in the building now.
So
how easy would it be to maintain?
Yeah, so that's actually a really good question, right? And I had a discussion with Mike Hale about it, just generally, you know, kind of maintenance this week post your last school committee meeting. And, you know, the reality is that all buildings need to be maintained. And the fact of the matter is today is that whether we're talking about, you know, a West Parish or option 1 style building or an option 3 style building, right? It's all in the giant scheme of things as compared, Amy and Matt, to what you guys are experiencing and dealing with. It's all very high tech. And it's going to be something that, as you know, the building portfolio for the schools and for the city of Gloucester continue to move forward, there's going to have to be an equivalent kind of advancement, if you will, in terms of the ability to operate these buildings. People are going to either have to be trained up, right, to be able to handle this, or new people, you know, that are more facile with this type of technology and equipment are going to need to be brought on board. You know, and I don't know, Joe, if you know, you have any comment to that as well.
No, I mean, it's the conversation we've been having at Public Works since I kind of stepped back into this role. You know, our staff that we currently have, they're great. They do wonders at what they do, but logically, we're not there. You know, we're growing these systems now, so I think as Public Works, we're looking at kind of changing the way we do business. You know, we'll still have our guys that turn wrenches every day, but you know, we're looking at a technical aspect here where, you know, we're bringing the high school online now. O'Malley's got some controls going in over there. Now we've got this, you know, brand new building. West Parish, we're kind of, you know, we have this great system there, but we're not using it the way it was designed to be used. We don't have the personnel to be able to do that. So.
And that's not unique to Gloucester. I think, there's kind of a lag between, in many communities, the community who have done business, the way they've done business for the last 20, 25 years. And, new buildings require, a different type of maintenance and a different type of person to be able to handle that, or at least being able to train people to be able to handle that.
So that's going to
Yeah.
be the same with option 1 or option 3.
Yes.
Okay.
There'll be different technologies, right? But it's the same effect.
Is there one, Joe, that you think is easier to implement than the other? I mean, I don't want to put something in there that overruns the system. I mean, the maintenance system.
Right. It's really 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It really
Okay.
is. So that's when you get into starting weighing out your other factors, your energy savings and those type of things. I think they're pretty equal as far as maintaining them.
Okay, thank you.
Jonathan?
Yes, sir.
John Dunn here. Rich had a question earlier as to the difference in the TEAC costs on a 90,000 square foot building. It's 47,700.
So the question is that a significant number? Over the course of a year, what does that mean? I mean, do we simply divide that by 12 and that's the monthly cost, or?
And that's the monthly, so it's four grand a month.
Okay, so we're getting full AC in all our classrooms with option C, and a more environmentally efficient system as well, correct?
Yeah. Yes. And a lot of this too is when, and it's the case with any modeling, right? You're trying to model this over 20 years, and you're making projections as to what the cost of electricity is going to be and what the cost of fossil fuels are going to be. And they're only as good as kind of the historical representation of that. And over time, who knows, right? I mean, if you were to buy oil today, right, it's like it's negative, which is kind of unusual. But definitely, what we see in the industry is a trend towards kind of all electric type systems.
Okay, are there any more questions?
Jonathan,
Yes.
this is Kathy. It might be an obvious, silly question, but I assume the building is broken out into different zones. So when school is out of session, you're not air conditioning the academic wing, right? If the other side is being used for community use, that would be active and functioning and set appropriately, right? It's not all or nothing in terms of the whole building temperature.
Yes, that's correct, right? And that's kind of a function of the controls package that actually is going to be put onto either of these systems.
And I think we can assume that we would be using it over the summer for our special education summer program because of its central location.
So with the building control systems, you actually have the ability to lower the air conditioning in the evenings, or you can control wings of the buildings and whole sections. It's whatever you plug into that control system is how you actually control the timing for heat and air conditioning.
Okay, I can't see everybody, so does anybody else have another question? Just speak up.
So I guess I have one, Jonathan.
Okay.
So right now, we're not anticipating geothermal, but I guess the one question would be is with an all-electric system, if that's something that would want to be added at the later date, is that something that could be done at this point, or are we precluding that from happening given it's an all-electric system?
Yeah, it would. I think part of the issue is, the site that we're dealing with here, right? And the fact that geothermal is going to make it more efficient for sure. It also, we'd have to put in a lot of wells. Our experience in Gloucester is there's a lot of rock, and it does tend to drive up costs. So it's something that, as we get further into the design, that, we could look at that to see if, there's an upside there, but we haven't actively looked at, geothermal air.
Mhm.
And my understanding from the presentation to the school committee was that this building will be ready but not include solar panels on the roof.
That's correct. We have to design the building to accept 50% of the roof. It has to be able to accept solar panels.
Okay.
But currently they're not, that portion of the design is in there, but not the cost of the solar panels.
So we've actually had some recent experience with a project that's actually just wrapping up design, about ready to go into construction. Similar type of thing where it's solar ready, and having discussions with companies that, do the solar installation and basically are leasing, your roof space. And so that capital cost is something that you wouldn't have to go and absorb. But there are, some benefits that you would be able to go and claim as part of your, electric bill. This would help reduce that. It's not over a life cycle, it's probably not as advantageous because, the person who's paying for those has to make some money in the equation as well. But there are savings without having to go and put that upfront money in. And that's something that can be reviewed, looking at it moving forward.
Right. So John, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that similar to the deal we have on the windmills?
It would be, and I guess I would be interested in either Brad or Michelle, if you have the information on the total kilowatt hour usage that these tables represent. I like to kind of compare that to what is being generated out of each one of our wind turbines.
I can send you the full LCC analysis.
Oh, good. Okay, great.
So this is just a synopsis of what that report was.
All right.
Okay.
So is there, Michelle, is there a more comprehensive report for this that goes with this? This is obviously a summary of that.
Yes, there is.
Okay. That'd be good.
I will distribute it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll send it to you, Tom, and you can send it out to the entire committee.
Okay, thank you.
What I need today from the committee is direction, whether or not we want to pursue option 3 over option 1 or option 2. I don't mean to take anything off the table. I think we should absolutely have everything on the table, but I need some direction from the committee.
Right. Because you need to know what you're going to get prices on.
Right. I guess that's the question is in terms of the pricing of it is one thing. The other is being sure that everyone understands what this means long-term and short-term before the system starts getting designed. But I guess that's the question is direction for costing. And at this point, until we get into DD, is there opportunity for us to digest this as a whole and take a look at it? Or I guess I'm trying to understand, it's kind of being presented here first time to be sure people have a chance to digest it.
Okay. Is everybody comfortable on taking a vote on what would appear to be either option 1 or option 3?
If I can, maybe a question to Rich and the 2 principals and even Jonathan. I mean, is it a good idea to ultimately have at least one elementary school in the city that would be usable the entire summer by having it air conditioned? Does that make any difference in your approach to educational aspects?
If I may go first,
Go ahead.
the summer program for special education historically has been at Veterans. It's centrally located. It's our neediest and most challenged children. And it just seems, I mean, we're talking $4,000 or $5,000 more a month. I hear that. But if we're going to provide, the right service for the neediest kids all year round, I think option 3 should be given serious consideration.
Yeah, I agree with Dr. Sapphire. Also, this new building's going to offer a whole host of new opportunities for summer work with students. So, I can really see it being utilized a lot over the summers, especially not only for the summer school, but for other educational opportunities as well.
Yeah. So.
Let's take, for example, what's happening now. We don't know, I don't wish to be an alarmist or a futurist, but what if another, situation that's so disruptive to the school process should take place, and then there's an opportunity for summer remediation. So in addition to what is the norm, namely summer school for students with disabilities, there's also contingency plans should the, blank hit the fan.
Right. Right. Yeah. So I think for budgeting purposes, what you're talking about is if you would choose to price option 3, that gives you the most flexibility because at this stage it is the most it's the highest first cost with a significant amount of benefit. So that allows us to structure the budget so that that gives you most flexibility moving forward. And as things move forward, I think you can always make some different decisions, but I think it gives you the most flexibility going forward.
Okay.
Can I also add, I'd love to, I know you guys have talked to the Department of Public Works, but it would be nice if they weighed in, like if the cities of Cambridge said we're going all electric, does the city have a stand or position on that as it relates to the direction our city is going in terms of, this kind of a decision for the long term?
Well, if they were, I'm not sure that would be coming out of DPW. But certainly the city has made strides to be a green community. If Greg were here, he could probably elaborate on that. He knows more of the details but Gloucester is involved in legislating some level of energy efficiency above and beyond what is required.
Yeah, we're very actively involved in green communities right now. We have quite a bit of work going on at the high school. They're actually starting back up again this week. We've converted all of our heating plants to natural gas. They were primarily oil for the longest time. So we've done multiple lighting upgrades. So, I think we're ahead of the curve with a lot of the other communities, and I think we'll look to continue to do so.
Good. And you've got free range of the buildings, Joe, for as of today, till September at least.
Right.
Okay. Is there anything else before we ask for a motion? Okay, I will make I think the motion should be that we instruct Doran Whittier and CBRE Harry to proceed with pricing option 3.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Seeing none.
Like I say, I can't see everybody with the, maybe I can.
I see no hands up.
Okay, all right, there we go. All right, so we'll need a roll call vote, Tom.
Okay. Jonathan Pope,
Yes.
Jason Rogers,
Yes.
Richard Sapphire,
Yes.
Kathy Clancy,
Yes.
Donna Compton,
Yes.
John Dunn,
Yes.
Gary Frisch,
Yes.
Matt Fusco,
Yes.
Grant Harris,
Yes.
Joe Lucido,
Yes.
and Amy Pasquarello.
Yes.
All right, 11-0.
Okay. Okay, are there any, that's the end of the agenda. Are there any other items that we need to discuss
wanna-
other
I wanna
than the
make
next
one more-
meeting?
I want to make one statement just before we come off this topic. So because of where we are in the documentation process, we have moved forward with option 1 in the pricing set. And so when you see option 3, we'll be adding that cost, that extra cost. And then we'll, through the next phase, we'll start doing the design work that would involve option 3.
Okay.
You won't see that, the change in any of the plans or the designs until we get into the DD part phase of the drawings. So this will be an, something that we have an add cost for in the cost estimates.
But we will also flag that in the MSBA submission as part of the narrative
Yes.
to, have the narrative be reflective of the fact that there is going to be a change. It may not be direct in the drawings, but we will be able to put a narrative in there that gives the description.
Okay, will that be part of the cost estimator scope to price that piece of it through a narrative?
Yeah, and that's generally how they're going to do it at SD anyways.
Yeah, okay, so we'll have that. We'll include the total number in the budget, but you're right, we'll just have to backtrack and leave the breadcrumbs for the MSBA to figure out exactly how we got to that number. So,
Right. We're just going to have some things that are, not going to be representative of what this system was, because we had to move things forward without absent having the decision.
Right,
So,
right.
we
Okay.
might have a boiler in the drawings, but that won't be there, and we'll clarify that as part of the systems narrative.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
We need to talk about our next meeting date. It was on the calendar for May 7th, I believe. Is there a need for that meeting? Should we schedule it, and then if no need pops up, cancel it? Michelle, Tom?
I think the main thing that I see the need for in the future is once the selection committee is ready to make a recommendation on the CM contract award, that would need to be presented through the purchasing department to Donna. But I guess the question is kind of what role the building committee has for either supporting it, or, Donna, does the selection committee go to you first, and then, how do we get that all approved correctly, or what's the process there?
My assumption is that the recommendation would have to come to the committee and be confirmed by the committee.
And the committee would be taking the selection committee's recommendation, confirming or affirming it, and bringing it up to to Donna for the award of the contract. Does that need to go through the school committee too?
I don't believe it needs to go through the
Okay.
school committee. I can check that, but
Okay, okay. Because it's a city award, it
Right.
wouldn't be awarded for that. So I just want to be sure we dot all the i's on that it gets to Donna with the right authorizations to go ahead and execute the contract. And then John Dunn will have to kind of work through the process for doing that, within the boundaries of the overall appropriation and what we're going to be doing with that work. So
remind me of the dates, Tom. The selection committee is going to meet before the 7th or after the 7th?
well, we'll be meeting. They'll be meeting a couple times. One is to establish the evaluation criteria scoring. Then 2 would be to evaluate the proposals submitted on the 8th. So that would be like the 11th and 12th, most likely, to rank them based upon the proposals, then have the interviews, let's say theory of the 13th and 14th, and then following the 14th, be ready to make a final recommendation on the award based upon the interviews. And then at that point, we would go through and the building committee would then need to take that recommendation. So I'd say as early as could be done on the week of the 18th would be the need to move that along. So I'd prefer not to wait till that Thursday. If we can do a Zoom meeting earlier in the week of the 18th, that would be better, and move that along. So
Okay, well, we have a meeting tentatively scheduled for the 7th, as I said. I'm going to leave that on the board in case we need it for some reason, but if no reason comes up, we'll cancel it. But is the 19th a workable date?
I believe that should be fine on my end. I guess that's up to the committee.
Does anybody have any problems with the 19th? If we were scheduled for a meeting on the 21st, so we're moving it up 2 days.
Right. And we would know middle of the week prior to that, kind of where everything's lying, I would hope. So,
Right.
so, okay.
All right, so we'll schedule a meeting for the 19th. We'll leave the meeting for the 7th but we just, if we don't, unless we have a reason, we won't post that. Okay. Anything else before we go?
I will be issuing the table of contents for the binders, the POM, and several items are noted for the district's input. So we can distribute that out and get feedback mainly from Dr. Sapphire, Amy, and Matt. It pretty much falls into the educational programming pieces. And it's an update from the preferred schematic report. So we don't need to meet as long as we can keep the paperwork flowing.
Okay. All right, anything else? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a roll call vote.
Okay. Jonathan Pope,
Yes.
Jason Rogers,
Yes.
Richard Sapphire,
Yes.
Kathy Clancy,
Yes.
Donna Compton,
Yes.
John Dunn,
Yes.
Gary Frisch,
Yes.
Matt Fusco,
Yep.
Grant Harris,
Yes.
Joe Lucido,
Yes.
Amy Pasquarello.
Yes.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay
Right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
She can't hear you.
Hi, Ava. How are you?
Good.
I miss you.
Me too.
I know. We'll see each other soon. Don't you worry about that.
I hope.
Go on to, are you going to see, watch the book I just read on class?
Oh yeah, I
We
just
were-
finished it.
We were
Okay,
watching it while we
good.
were making dinner.
All right. Awesome. You're the
Very
best.
nice.
I'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Mr. Pope.
Bye, we'll see you.